not to keep you all waiting for our main attraction to start this first day here, Robbie Makinen, the CEO of the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority, is joining us once again. He was with us during our Summer University series last year now to talk about his free fare transit approach that they got going in Kansas City, and had some discussion with his counterpart in St. Louis on that. But today we're inviting Robbie back to share a wide range of thoughts on his approach to having a robust and proactive transit system that's focused on people. And that's his key aspect in the work that him and his team are doing at KCATA. So from kind of the farthest east region limits of the SWTA Nation, we welcome Robbie to share his thoughts here for the next little bit. Thanks for joining us again, Robbie, and take it away.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor for me to be back. I'm surprised you actually invited me back, so thank you very much. I guess you told me you wanted me to talk about a bold new vision for transit. I don't have note cards. I don't have PowerPoint, so I'm just going to talk to everybody for a little bit here. Look, I don't think you can have that discussion about a bold vision without talking about three things, without talking about getting a little bit of perspective, without talking about being able to answer the question why, and then without thinking through the fact that change comes at the end of your comfort zone, okay? And that we need to think outside the bus, for lack of a better way to say it. So I'm just going to talk for a little bit. Let's talk about perspective. Let me give everybody a nice slice of perspective as we get started here, especially after the year we've all been through. I lost my vision about 8-9 years ago now. Before that, I was that guy. I was Mr. Ambition, Mr. I'm going to, live for my resume, not my eulogy. Let's see how many rungs I can jump up on the ladder. I need this, I need that. I want a bigger car, a better house, all this, all that, all that. And then I lost my vision. And then I realized that when I walked out of my garage one day, and where I used to go out and say, oh, look at all this stuff I need, and I better not get rid of this. I'm going to need that. I better not get rid of that grass spreader. I haven't used it in 4 years, but I may need that. Now I go out there. I don't need any of it. All I need is my wife and my kids healthy and happy. That's perspective. We all can go through our lives and we talk about that ambition. And I'm not saying ambition's a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing. But if you only eat from that side of the plate, you're never going to get full. You've got to eat from the other side, which is, what is it that feeds your soul? What is it that you do? What is it that you can do, not only to help your community, but help your agency and whatever? What is it that'll feed your soul and fill your heart? So that goes to my next point, which is you got to be able to answer the question, why? Why do we do what we do? Okay. What I tell everybody around here is, if you're going to, if you're coming here just to make a paycheck, this probably isn't the place for you. But if you want to come here and you want to make a difference in people's lives and make a good living, this is the place for you. That's the difference. The difference is why? Why do you do what you do? Why do you get up in the morning? Why should anybody care? Not only perspective as an individual, but as an agency, not only being able to answer the question yourself, why, but why does your agency do what it does? And the answer for that should be, this is all about people. This is all about making a difference. I tell my people all the time, this is that one job. This is that one job where you can make a difference in more people's lives than most people get to do in a lifetime. And if you start wrapping, I think we've been going the wrong way. I'm speaking treason here. I got it. But I think we've been going the wrong way. We want to talk about metrics of ridership, of captive riders and choice riders and transit dependent and all. I think all of that is bad. All right. Because at the end of the day, to me, ridership is a byproduct. Ridership is a byproduct of what kind of culture are you putting out there as an agency and as an individual? What are you trying to do to make your community better? How can you as a transit agency weave yourself into the fabric of your local community and become a part of it? what I think we've always done in the past is sit out on an island by ourselves, and we'll put a bus from A to B, or some mode of transportation, but we're going to put the blinders on. And anything that happens around there, well, that's not our fault. That's not our deal. That's not in our wheelhouse. Well, that's totally ridiculous. Okay, and if any of us have learned anything over the past year, it should be that. It should be about that. Your end game should be about people. I finally work at a place where the mission statement actually matches what I think. All right, connecting people to opportunities. That's what you do. All the rest of it is just a byproduct. All the rest of it is just how you do it, or whatever. But you and your staff and your agency need to be able to say why. So we started building that culture around here. That culture about why we do what we do, because we're here to help people. We're here to help connect people. And once we started doing that, and everybody bought in, now we find ourselves in a situation to where, this isn't about rewarding operators for going 30 days without getting in an accident. No, what it is about rewarding an operator, because we just had a story last week. One of my operators was driving down the street, saw a guy standing outside without any shoes on, and it's 2 degrees outside. What happened? Pulled over, called dispatch, said, "Hey, get on the bus. Hey, anybody got any shoes over there? In our lost and found, whatever." Supervisor jumps in the car, takes his shoes over there, gives it to him. I got 100 stories like that, and so do you. That's a beautiful thing. Okay, and if we can get everybody from somebody who pushes a broom all the way to the C-suite to think about that, to not think about asphalt and rubber and timing chains and whatever, to think about, what, we're here because we're going to help people, then that'll make all the difference in the world. So when you say think outside your comfort zone or whatever, the fact is, according to when you turn this into people, it's no longer just about public transit. What we do in Kansas City, we have 4 pillars of public transit now. Our 4 pillars are: we're going to provide access. We're going to provide access to jobs, access to housing, access to healthcare, and access to education. Those 4 things. If we can do those 4 things really well, the ridership and everything will come with it. But we're going to surround all that with a foundation of social equity. Okay? And if we can do that, this isn't zero fare or free transit or whatever you want to call it for zero fare's sake. It's a part of the process. It's not the only thing. It's a part of it, if that makes any sense. So that's why we do what we do. And when you talk about again trying to, I don't know how many times I'd sit around and I'd hear people talk about, well, we need more choice riders, and I need to see a guy with a suit, and from the time I got into this business, well, actually before I lost my vision, everybody would talk about, well, let's take a bus and let's put walls over the tires so nobody can see them. Let's put a bell on it instead of a horn. It's a bus. Get over it. Okay. Why are we trying to hide from what we actually are here to do? I don't know about you, but 75% of my ridership are low income families, are folks that really need help, and are essential workers that keep this city, this region breathing every day. They're the ones that you may not use public transit, but you depend on all these people every day. And they do. And they need it. So why wouldn't we do that? If you can get it down to there, you can make it easier for them to have access and to have options. And if you can do it for zero fare, now you're getting somewhere. Fast, efficient service along with zero fare is a beautiful thing. It's not a trade-off. It's not one versus the other. Well, you're going to do zero fare, so that means you're going to have to cut service. No, you're not. Look, we've all built these big bureaucracies, okay, of transit agencies, right? You got to look within yourself. And then the easiest thing for any one of us to do is, okay, we're just going to cut service, or we're going to cut some of our operators. Well, that's easy. That's what everybody does, right? No, not here. You're going to get in. You need to get into the weeds and see what's actually going on in here. After years and years and years and years, all the systemic stuff that has been brought into your agency, whether it's I'm paying God knows how much money for to be members of all these chambers and all this other stuff. Pizza parties for this, post-it notes, too much bottled water or whatever. You know what? Dig into it, man. That's what we did. That's what we did, and we just now presented a budget under $100 million, which is unheard of, especially during a pandemic. And we're still doing zero fare. When we did zero fare, when we started when we've been doing it for a year now, and so I don't think anybody can, come back on me and tell me, oh my gosh, cats living with dogs, it's going to be awful, because we've proven it. We've had less than 10, we do 60,000 trips a day right now, less than 10 incidents in the whole year. Why? Because it's safer. Okay. You know all the reasons. I don't have to go through that again. You guys all heard me say that before. But the fact of the matter is, why wouldn't you do this stuff? Okay. If I can give $1,500 or $2,000 and put that in somebody's pocket, where's it going to go? Okay, it's not going into some tax shelter in the Bahamas. It's going right back in the local community. It's going to generate sales tax. People can get a prescription, get a pair of shoes. Oh, well, Robbie, you're just a socialist. No, I'm not. I'm a fiscal conservative that wants this place running right, and I want taxpayer money to go where it needs to go to help people. If you look at it that way, if you look at it through these four pillars, then you can see that transit is that one thing. You guys know that. Transit's that one thing. It connects everything. What you need to do, and what I'm trying to do, is put ourselves higher in the food chain. Okay, again, get off that island, get in here and work with your community, work with your safety net providers, work with your economic development folks, become a member of the community, and then they'll see the value that you add. So now we're starting to do some projects where, from a development standpoint, we're a part of the development process. We're a part of the incentive process. Rather than TIP and everything just taking money away, we're actually getting it put into the deal. When Urban Outfitters comes out here and puts a new headquarters, well, part of the deal is part of the pullback from a CID or whatever's going right to pay for public transit right there. Okay, can we do some development and help with a parking garage over here or whatever? Why? Well, nobody wants another parking garage, but maybe they need that. We can peel some of that money off and have it pay for zero fare or a max line on that system. From there to Ride KC Navigator, we just just put out an app, Ride KC Navigator. It's for folks who are visually impaired. Not only did we put it out, but we put it out all the way up and down a Prospect corridor, from 75th and Prospect all the way to our transit center, all the way to the streetcar. And now we're going to put it up the streetcar too. Nobody else in the nation does that. You can still look, if you come out of this pandemic, you should come out of this better off than when you went in, because now is your opportunity. Now is your opportunity to cut silly things that you need to cut. Now's your opportunity to say, okay, you all reduced your service, where is it that we actually need to get people to, right? And where is it, how can we plan our system around those four pillars and social equity? And if you can do that, it really narrows the scope and puts you on the right track, as far as I can tell, right? At least it's working here. So again, it's not just zero fare for zero fare's sake. It's part of the process. It's part of the process along with fast and efficient service. It's part of the process along with cutting things you really don't need within your bureaucracy itself, without cutting people and without cutting service and those kinds of things. It's about weaving yourself into the community fabric. It's about becoming a part of the economic development conversation, a part of the healthcare conversation, a part of your local, not only high schools, but your junior colleges and colleges. It's being a part of those processes to where you're not an afterthought. You know how that goes. Everybody comes to us after the fact. Somebody wants to build a building out in a greenfield. They hire 1,200 people, and then all of a sudden they come to you a year later and go, "Oh, our public transit system stinks." Well, of course it does, because you weren't in the process from the get-go. That's where we need to be. You need to be nimble and flexible enough to move your agency not that big battleship of a democracy that usually it was, to where when we finally moved to the target was gone already. Being innovative, not being scared to move forward. Fear is okay, okay? Fear is a good thing. But don't be scared. Don't be scared to try new things. And what I try and look, being a leader is a big deal, especially in these times. You all know that. But if you hide behind a rock, your team's going to hide behind a mountain. That's just a fact. So what we're trying to do is say, you know what? Who's got a good idea? Let's throw it on the table. Let's throw some red meat on the table and see what happens. And we're okay if we try something and it doesn't work, because we know we're going to be able to adapt it to something that will. Being a member of the community, we just started 350 people coming out of the folks who are homeless coming out of the shelter that we just put up in our convention center, just to help people out and getting them around every morning. Just being a part of the solution, being that one thing that council members and elected officials and corporate leaders and whatever that can go, you know what, I know I can call the ATA because I know they'll help me with this. When you start doing that, the reward on the backside is immense, because you're one of the first phone calls when you get invited to those meetings that you should be in from the get-go. I think that's the way we need to go. Look, I'll leave you. How much time do I got? Rich, how am I doing?
You got about 10 minutes, Robbie.
All right. Well, I'm not even going to take that, so I'm probably putting everybody to sleep. The fact of the matter is, if I could leave you with one thing, it would be this. Everybody wants to talk about ROI, right? What's the return on investment? What's the return on investment? Well, I'm telling you, we got to stop thinking about ridership. Okay, ridership is a byproduct of whether you have a system that's effective, efficient, to whether your customers and the people that you serve have a choice and have access. And quit trying to run away from the people that need you the most. That's what we do here. We're going to take care of, and we're going to run toward the people that need us the most. And when you talk about return on investment, the return on investment for compassion, for empathy, for social equity far outweighs any kind of ROI on asphalt and concrete and aluminum. So I'll leave you with that. God bless all of you for everything you've been doing this year and what you're doing right now. And I'm grateful to have an opportunity to talk just for a minute. And Rich, I hope I didn't embarrass you.
Oh, not at all, Robbie. Thank you so much. And if you don't mind, if you have 5 minutes, we'd love to give folks a chance to ask some questions. And I've got a couple just to start off while they throw those in the chat box. But you're doing all these cool aspects, from the fare free to the corporate partnerships to working with all different kinds of folks who really need help. How do you build support and consensus? Whether that's a city council or with corporate partners. What's your process for engaging with those folks? And as Robbie answers that, folks, feel free to share questions or thoughts that you have for Robbie in the chat.
Well, you know what, Rich, we actually decided that we weren't going to sit out on our island, that we were going to get engaged. And I'm not just talking about getting engaged about going to a chamber meeting or going to this meeting and sitting in the background. It was about actively going out and talking to the people that need us the most. These safety net providers, our veterans, our schools, and saying, hey, what is it? How you do this now? Oh yeah, we buy a pass at a discount. We do this, that, and well, what if we could get you this without any of that? Are you kidding me? I don't have to waste the staff time and who's signing in for what and what's doing what. I'm in. So we started out with zero fare for our veterans, first one in the nation to do it, all veterans. Then went to our school kids, then our safety net providers, and now we do it region wide. We've been doing it for a year. We've got the Block School of Business, Mid-America Regional Council, and KU, University of Kansas, actually doing a study on zero fare. And we actually have the Urban League here in Kansas City doing the effective zero fare on the community itself. When you start building those kind of coalitions, there's nowhere to go but up. When people, from an economic development standpoint, when people can see that you're actually can be part of the solution, that we can take my bi-state compact and be able to use it so it helps them as well as helps from a public transit standpoint, everybody wins. The coolest thing about for me about being in a transit agency is this is such an easy place to get win-wins, and that's what I enjoy the most.
So another question, Robbie, is you hear a lot of folks talking about hyperloop and all these ideas that are flash in the pan ideas, and maybe they work, maybe they don't. That's not the point. Is what do you say to people say, well, why can't you be more like Uber? Why can't you bring on in Elon Musk and do something really snazzy? What's your thoughts when someone says something like that to you?
My thoughts are I sat at after a meeting a few years ago, and I sat on a panel, and I got up and I spoke with everybody. Oh my gosh, there was a gasp in the room when I said, "Hey, why are we trying to always pit one thing against another? Uber versus streetcar, streetcar versus bus, bus versus scooter, scooter versus. There's room in the tent for everybody. At the end of the day, you have to take care of the people that need you the most. All right. Again, this goes back to I'm fine with all of that, and we do our microtransit programs are working great here. Our TNC type service that we do with our folks, so you don't have to worry about your driver being a serial killer, is working really well here. Right, KC Freedom. These are all those things, all those different modes. But at the end of the day, all roads lead to Rome. Okay, and connecting people to your core comprehensive transit strategy is what you want to do anyway. So it's okay. Hyperloop's okay by me. All right. Uber's okay by me because at the end of the day, I'm still here and I'm still and taking care of 75% of the people I have to take care of. And they're going to be there and they're going to need me every day. And we're going to take care of them. Does that make sense, Rich?
Yeah, of course it does. I think it's so easy to like you said, pit people against each other. Whether that's locally, nationally, whatever. And you're saying that we don't have to live in that world if we don't want to.
Well, what I'm saying, yeah. And what I'm saying is it's your job. I consider it my job as the transit authority to actually take all those folks, bring them into the tent, and connect the dots. Okay. And if you can do that and work and play well with others and get them to come in, you've got something very, very special. And if one of those things happens to go away because there's a flash in the pan, so what? Let it, there'll be another one. Okay. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to be here. I'm going to be here because I know that 75% of my ridership or whatever, I'm not worried about trying to go after some ghost or ridership or choice riders or whatever. I'm taking care of the people that need me the most.
And I got one more for you, Robbie, and that's SWTA is represents a lot of different types of transit agencies, from some that are kind of big, your size, others that are in rural areas and smaller urban tribal areas. How would you recommend kind of applying your approach in Kansas City to different size agencies, different states? What are some of the common elements? Obviously, you've mentioned a lot of them, but what's your recommendation to folks that may be in a rural community right now or a tribal agency? How can they do what you're doing?
Again, biggest point, you've got to weave yourself into the community fabric, right? And that doesn't mean just going to your council members or your mayor or whatever and getting them behind you. No, it means going out and talking to the not just your customers, but where do your customers, what are they doing? Where do they work? Where do they get social service stuff? Uh, Go to those places. Go to those safety net providers. Go to your EDCs. Get in those conversations. Get in that kind of a relationship with folks, and the rest of it'll come. That's what we did here. I bet it's even easier for agencies that are smaller than mine because it was a pretty heavy lift. But at the end of the day, Rich, if you can if you can make this about people, then everybody can understand that. Everybody from an elected official to the people that are actually doing the work, everybody can wrap their head around that. And everybody can go, oh, yeah, I get that. I get that. So that's what we do here. And anytime we can, we try and get out and do what we can when we get calls for help. Obviously, I know a lot of you all do that too. And just weave yourself into the fabric of the community. so that somebody says whatever city or whatever you're in, they think of you.
Yeah, and the good follow on to that, Robbie, is a lot of these folks are doing that already. You're going to meetings every night of the week, and just keep putting those relationships together, and speaking the truth that you're talking about here today
But
is
if you're not doing, you can go to all the meetings in the world, but if you're not doing anything with them, what's the point? Look, my daddy always taught me, he said, you know what, the most powerful, the best part of a meeting, the most good you get out of a meeting is the 30 minutes before and the 30 minutes after. That's where everything gets done, right? So building those relationships before and after, actually talking to people about, hey, you know what? Maybe we could do this for you. Having an innovation team as a part of your agency, having a fun time sitting around a table and saying, all right, who's got something today? Well, what if we did this? What if we did that? That does nothing but help you think outside the bus, if you will. It does nothing but make your staff and show them that, you know what, you're not some micromanager or whatever, and you're going to let them spread their wings a little bit. And hey, what if we did this? We get a lot of great ideas, even just from our operators, because I'll have lunch with 5 or 6 of them once or twice a week and say, hey, what about this? And what that got to, how that culture changed is when we first started doing it, it was always complain, 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 complain. Now it's, hey, Robbie, what if we did this? Hey, what if we did that? Rewarding our staff for the fact that they are just good people and they care about other people and they go that extra mile, whether it's to give somebody a pair of shoes, whether it's to help a guy like me across the street, whether it's to pretty much save a child that they said that just didn't look right to them. Those are the kind of people I want working for me.
Well, Robbie, I think that takes us right up to where we were going to go today. We appreciate your time last getting in with us here today and before, and your approach and your enthusiasm is hard to match here in the SWATA Nation through our whole industry. So thanks again for coming and being with us today.
I'm grateful. Enjoy the conference.
Thanks, Robbie. And I just posted a link to the Fare Free Transit kind of debate session. It wasn't really a debate because Kansas City and St. Louis aren't opponents or anything like that. But it was a great conversation that Robbie and Toby Rauch from St. Louis had last.
Well, that's right. He's wrong and I'm right. Let's just remember that, and we're okay. Okay.
Well, have a good one today, Robbie. Feel free to stick around as long as you like and listen in.